Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and here on this channel, we love our makeup, but we especially love using the makeup that we already have. We're not here for TikTok fame or Instagram fortune, though I do those things as well. We're just here for real makeup for our very real lives and real people like us. Video is the second video in a series of swatching my top eyeshadows in different color categories. The first one was pink, so I'll have that one linked down below, and eventually we will have a playlist so you can binge them all if you wish. But today's shade, as you would have seen, is bronze. But I want to make sure to mention that the point of this video is not for you to go out and purchase any of these palettes. Some are still available, but some are discontinued. The point of the video is to encourage you to shop your own stash for similar shades or shades within the color group that we're talking about in each video. So today's color is bronze, as we are about to head into summer. I love bronze eyeshadow. It's one of my favorite colors of eyeshadow to wear with my brown eyes. And I wanted to make sure to mention that all of the shades that I will be bringing to you in each of these videos are open for interpretation. It's all about what you think of when you hear the word bronze or pink or teal or what have you. So for me, bronze is mostly a chocolatey brown, but a little bit more metal than brown eyeshadows. Some are a little bit more toward the golden, more towards the copper or rose gold, but still bronze. So I wanted to make sure to mention that in case you see any shades and you're like, that's not bronze. Well, we all see colors differently. We all categorize colors differently. So with all of that said, let's get into it. This would not be a bronze eyeshadow video if I didn't mention my very favorite bronze eyeshadow in my entire collection, and that comes from the e.l.f. Bite Size Eyeshadow Quad in the colorway Pumpkin Pie. And I'm talking about this baby right here, a massive pan, and this is what it looks like. I mean, isn't this the definition of bronze? It has that beautiful sort of milk chocolatey base that I'm talking about, but when you see the reflection, it looks like metal. It's, you know, slightly golden. It's just bronze. But this is one of my favorites. I love this little quad. The copper is beautiful in here as well as the mattes. But this is by far my favorite bronze eyeshadow in my entire collection of eyeshadows. And that's saying something. The next eyeshadow palette is a little bit newer to my collection, and I just got it this year. And it's the M Cosmetics Divine Skies Magic Hour eyeshadow palette. And the shade I'm talking about is this one right here, which is called Radiant. It looks like this. It's a little bit of a lighter version of the last bronze that we talked about. And I just think the sheen on this is stunning. I love this as a one eyeshadow look. When you're looking for one shadow eyeshadows, what you can look for is when you put your hand back like this, you can see this is the base pigment, which is much darker than the reflect. So when you apply it all over the lid, but you blend it up into your crease or your transition, this darker shade is what's going to transfer or translate. And then you have this beautiful shine and reflect on the lid. And I absolutely love bronze eyeshadows for those looks. And this is a beautiful one. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the palette that I have on my eyes today, and that is the Urban Decay Naked Honey. Now, admittedly, this is not a palette that I get a ton of use out of, but the shade that I absolutely adore and have all over my lid today is this one right here, which is called HBIC, which I assume means Head Be in Charge. This one has a little bit more of a golden reflect to it, as you can see here, but it's still got that deep brown base. And I just love Urban Decay shimmers. I think they make such beautiful lid shades, and this one is no exception. I really enjoyed this. If you do like this look and you want to see how I created it, that'll be over on my Instagram, and I can link it down below. This is a beautiful palette, and this is a beautiful bronze. It's exactly where my eyeballs go every time I do open this palette, and I'm just very glad to have it in my collection. And Oliver is in the house today, so if you hear him or he snores or sighs like he just did, that's what it is. The next shade comes from one of my very all-time favorite palettes, and that is the Persona Identity palette. It does come in new plastic packaging now, but I got mine long before that. And some might say that this shade is not really bronze, but I beg to differ. And again, we all see color differently. But I'm talking about this shade right here, which is called Goddess. And this is what it looks like. To me, that is totally bronze. It's a little deeper in its base pigment than some of the other bronzes that I'll show you today, but this one is absolutely stunning, as is this palette. It is so super smooth, buttery, and again, this makes a fantastic one shadow look, or you could layer any one of the lighter shimmers over top if you wanted to. For me, I just freaking love this shade. Hopefully they don't all look too similar. I definitely have some that look different from one another. The next bronze is quite similar, but it also comes from a very old favorite palette of mine, and that is my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This is my sole remaining Too Faced palette, and that's because I just really enjoy it. And the shade that I'm talking about is this one right here, which is called Caramelized or Caramelized. And it looks like this, and it's very similar to the shade from the Persona Identity palette. It's got that deeper brown base, but it still has a beautiful warm reflect, and that is the qualification for bronze for me. I just love this. It's so pretty, and you know, I just love all the bronzes. And yeah, I do still use this palette. It still smells like peaches even, so nothing wrong with that. The next bronze is sort of like a dirty bronze. It comes from my ABH Sultry palette. There's several shades in here that some might call bronze, but the shade I'm talking about is this one up here called Ember, and it looks like this. Again, like I said, I kind of quantify this as like a dirty bronze. There's definitely a cool tone depth to the base pigment, but then I feel like the reflect is definitely warm, and I think it's that crossover between cool tone and warm tone that gives it kind of that muddy, dirty bronze shade, and I think it's beautiful. It's definitely a great base shade on the lid to apply something more sparkly or lighter on top, and yeah, I just really enjoy this one. The next one may be a little debatable on whether it's bronze or not, but I look at it that way, and that's really all that matters. These are my bronze eyeshadows. But this one has a little bit of a plummy, rosy tinge to it, and it comes from the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette, and it is this shade up here in the top row called Please Me, and it looks like this. You can see what I'm saying. Like in some lights it looks brown or bronze, but in other lights like this it's a little bit pinky purpley, and I don't know, I just think it's really unique. I have a similar shade that I'll talk about next, but again, that base pigment is that warm brown, medium to deep tone, and just a beautiful sparkle on top. So next, how could we talk about bronze eyeshadows and not include the Natasha Denona bronze palette? However, as many bronze eyeshadows are in here, the one that I chose is this one down here. It's called Palladium, if I'm saying that right, and it looks like this. And this one I really enjoy because again, it's got like a little bit of a coolness to it, and I just think it's absolutely stunning. It's a little bit different than the rest of the bronzes in this palette. I mean, there's lots of beautiful shades in here that one might consider bronze, but there's also shades in here that I would consider copper, like true copper up here. These are all much more yellowy to me, so I equate them more like a gold, but I feel like the shimmers in this bottom row here are probably the most bronze ones to me, and Palladium is my favorite. The next shadow comes from the RIP BH Cosmetics Smitten in Switzerland palette. And the shade that I'm talking about is this one right here called Geneva. And this is what it looks like. And I love this one. There's just like a softness to this that is so stunning all over the eyelid or as a one shadow look. Again, I know I'm obsessed with one eyeshadow looks. It's just something I really enjoy. But I think it's really beautiful. And like I said, there's just a softness to it, but I still very much would consider this a bronze, and it just so happens to come from an amazing, affordable, and discontinued palette. And lastly, my second most prized bronze eyeshadow in my collection, besides the e.l.f. Pumpkin Pie Quad, comes from the Natasha Denona Gold palette, also discontinued, but you can get a dupe of this palette on the Alter Ego website. So if you're still fiending for the gold palette, check that out. But the shade that I'm talking about is this one right here, and it is called Veris. You can see that I definitely have a dip in that one, and it's because I have trouble not using that shade every single time I pop this puppy open, and it looks like this. In fact, it's very, very similar to Pumpkin Pie. It's just in Natasha Denona's a little bit thicker, creamy formula, and I just adore this shade. To me, this balances some of the extreme warmth in this palette, especially when it comes to the more yellowy golds in here, and I just absolutely love it. It is such a beautiful shade. I think I will definitely hit pan on it at some point, just like the e.l.f. quad, and it's because it is just stunning. It's just beautiful. And that, my friends, is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed seeing my top 10 bronze eyeshadows of all time. They are super stunning. Ollie's moving around. He's getting impatient. We've already filmed for TikTok and Instagram, and he's been a very patient boy, but he's done now. Anywho, let me know down below. Do you have a favorite or multiple favorite bronze eyeshadows? Because I would love to hear what they are. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate your time as always. I hope if you did enjoy today's video, you give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Words are hard. That way we can see each other in my next video, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days.